The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Prashant Natarajan. Prashant is an author and also the Vice President of Strategy and Products at H2O AI. Prashant, welcome to the show.
Thanks, JP. Delighted to be here and with your audience.
Yeah, and we're delighted to have you. So we've got a lot to cover today, Prashant, because you're a very interesting character indeed. But let's start with a background of yourself. Could you give us a bit of an overview of your journey in tech and what led you to where you are today, both as an author but also as the VP of Strategy and Products at H2O?
Yeah, I would say the primary thing is, from a personal perspective, is to be able to put my education to work, my degrees in engineering and linguistics, and also to satisfy my innate curiosity about things and people and events and behaviors and causality. And I think you can see a trend here because all of that leads to data. Data is the closest way that we can measure quantitative and quantitative things. And we can also get as close to an objective measure as possible, not always, but as possible, of various behaviors and thoughts and events, hopefully for good purposes. My background is, as you pointed out, what I do at H2O right now. Delighted to be here at the world's leading open source and cloud AI company, number one. Number two, but prior to this, along the way, without going into a detailed biography, have spent lives as a management consultant at Deloitte Consulting in Australia. Prior to that, as the head of product for healthcare and life sciences products, almost half of my career for about 10 years. And before that, various stints at McKesson and Siemens, working primarily in the health and life sciences arena, but also insurance, health insurance, group, life, and as well as banking.
So it's good to hear about your background in healthcare and life sciences, which we'll get to later in the interview as we talk about your role in H2O. But for anyone listening who's not familiar with H2O, let's take a step back. Tell us all about H2O as an organization, who you are, what you do, and what's the mission of the business.
H2O is a place where, I'll just start with the obvious. It's a place where I'm delighted to be because it's a company which supports not just my ethos and what I enjoy doing, but more importantly, at H2O, our mission is about democratizing AI. Now, for us, democratizing AI is not an idea. It's not a catchphrase. It's not a buzzword. It's a movement. And like any other movement, a movement needs action. A movement needs people. It needs like-minded individuals coming together that are collectively driven by the idea that there should be freedom around the creation and the use of AI. We are built by people from a variety of different backgrounds and skill sets. We have team members in 26 countries. We are a relatively small company, but we more than punch above our weight in the various AI for good initiatives. We work with our customers not just to bring business and commercial value, but to use those innovations to do good for the planet. Along the way, we focus on the open source community and we focus on our primary users, data scientists, data professionals, analytics professionals, and most importantly, the business and operational leaders, and make sure that they are able to get outcomes, value, and happiness by democratizing AI for their customers, for their users, and for their employees.
Thank you for it. I want to spend some time now talking about your role because you and I have spoken previously and you oversee many aspects of the work at H2O. But can you give us a broad overview of what it is you're responsible for, how you go about working with teams on the strategy side and products, and just the day-to-day interaction that you have with the technology side of the business?
Absolutely. I think this goes fundamentally to how what I do goes partly to not just what my title is, but also the freedom in terms of working with customers. So part of my day job and sometimes it's more than a day job because of the number of customers we serve across the globe, is to be able to focus on market strategies and business strategies and understanding the needs, not just the macro needs of industries and companies, not just their AI needs, but being able to look at specific maturity levels, for example, teaming needs, and being able to set our clients to become AI superpowers. A huge part of my role, or I should say half of my role, if you have to break it up, is working with our customers to understand their needs, to predict their needs, and working closely with them from an empathy and a customer obsession perspective to get value to them as quickly as possible. Obviously, to do something like that, you also need to be able to influence the product side of the house because we are a product company. We are a cloud AI company and we have the longest history of open source AI ML on the planet. So, given that, it's also important for us to make sure that the products we have are able to meet those customers' needs. So the strategy aspect of it ranges from looking at business and market strategy, but more importantly, conducting workshops, working closely with executives, not just chief data officers and chief analytics and AI officers, but also COOs and chief strategy officers, innovation officers, in many cases CEOs on one hand, and on the other, make sure that their needs are met in as quick a time frame as possible. Because as we see the hype dying down on AI and people asking hard questions about what AI has done for me lately, I think it's more important for us to be able to communicate this value on a fact and data-based method and also using powerful stories that will cause the digital transformation to happen, that will cause the cultural change to take place.
You've already stated in the intro about H2O, you guys work with organizations across all industries, and over the course of H2O's history, you guys have worked with, I think it's over 12,000 various customers. Am I right? Something like that. It's a huge number.
It was a huge number worked at H2O the last time around. Right now, we have over 20,000 customers using H2O. Across financial services, we have the world's largest banks using H2O. There has been some recent things about, for example, one of our large customers and investors doing some work on executive AI. Executives building models and using models and doing it in competitions. Amazing, right? We always talk, JP, about, oh, how do we bring AI to life? You only bring it to life by getting everybody to be makers in the AI culture. Of course, we need data scientists. Of course, we need data professionals. You need cloud folks. You need cloud ops folks. But more importantly, we need business leaders. We need operational leaders. We need people to be empowered with AI. And we can't do that if AI is either a silo that exists to serve other needs, or on the other hand, AI is at the mercy of evolving business needs. We have to look for this learning ecosystem where all boats in the harbor get lifted, and that's what we're focusing on. So what we have found is companies across financial services, insurance, manufacturing, telecom, health and life sciences are looking at the universe of data they have, not just structured data, not just time series data, but imaging data, document data. And they are using our platform, our cloud AI platform, the H2O AI Cloud, and they're using our products to bring new value to data that has been unharnessed, in some cases for tens of years, in other cases for hundreds of years.
Prashant, in your background, you talk about your prior experience in the healthcare industry, which is something I want to talk about now with you, specifically around H2O's impact with healthcare and life sciences. Can you give us some insight into some of the work you're doing with your healthcare and life science customers, and what you're particularly excited about with the success that H2O is having in supporting those customers?
Yeah, healthcare and life sciences in general, JP, along with also government health or health insurance, have always been, as a nature of the regulated industry, in some of these sub-markets having very small margins, and also with the sensitiveness of patient and clinician privacy, for example. It has been a place where AI has had more fits and starts in the last 5 years traditionally. However, COVID in many ways has changed things tremendously in that only about less than 50% of organizations even had an AI strategy in place pre-COVID, just right before COVID. And today, COVID has caused so much, and I'll talk about this here, across board, humans primarily, that 97% of organizations, according to the Optum AI survey, actually not only have an AI strategy in place, but most of them are working towards bringing those strategies to life. So what happened? I think we saw a few things happen over here. One, the need for engaging with patients, the need for empowering patients, the need for acknowledging the life of an individual as being maybe 5 or 10% patient, but 90% being family member, sister, brother, husband, wife, partner, grandparent. Being able to deal with the universal experience of the individual, being able to tie their data from home, from the hospital, from place of work in privacy protected ways, but getting them the biggest value out of population health or precision medicine has been one of the key that COVID has definitely shown us. It has also shown us that the answer to the next pandemic, and hopefully it's a far time away, or the next epidemic, is going to be a response that we have learned from here that's rooted not just in data, but also in being able to quickly put that data to work. We have been working with prominent hospitals across the country in the United States, for example, to look at various private and public data to create COVID wave forecasters, to look at hospital capacity simulators, and to be able to manage supply chain and being able to address nurse burnout, physician burnout, right? We have been looking at the challenges that the world is going to see, not just from a care perspective, but also from a population health perspective, from a chronic disease perspective, from a care planning perspective around long COVID, right? We are going to see financial decisions that are going to be made, that are being made. While COVID has created a lot of financial challenges for a lot of organizations, including health insurers. We are looking at ways by which we can create vaccines for variants quicker. We have the data, we are enriching the data, but being able to put that to work. I don't want to focus just on COVID because many of the challenges that AI is going to help resolve in healthcare today are ones that existed even before COVID. The challenges with supply chain, the challenges with being able to predict and manage diseases, for example, being able to address financial cash flow production or revenue cycle management. These are all opportunities at H2O, believe it or not, JP. Our team and our customers have worked together, or they have built on the H2O AI Cloud at least 150 well-documented use cases with high human and monetary value in many cases. And so that gives you an idea of where AI is going to be making a difference in health, life sciences, and health insurance.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Switching direction slightly to focus now on the team that you oversee and just the culture and environment for data scientists and engineers working at H2O. I know you play a pivotal role in forecasting the growth and helping the managers and directors below you build good culture while encouraging people to join. Can you give us some insight into what it's like to be part of the technology team at H2O? What opportunities are available for them to work on the newest evolution of AI, and why it's a great place to be for somebody who's passionate about AI?
Great. Yeah, JP, I think you gave me a wonderful opportunity here, because I would say that yes, while I am fortunate and very proud of the role I play as part of the company's leadership team, I would say that there's nobody below me. And that's important, because at H2O we have a very strong maker culture, which we are all very proud of. We believe that all of us are makers, and that good ideas, whether those are on data science or applied data science, or techniques to be able to bring new business value, to be able to do transformation, these should come. Let there be a million ideas, and let's work together on solving them. So it's when we talk about democratizing AI as our mission for businesses and doing AI for good, we live that ethos internally by democratizing AI to do AI. So what I mean by that is the culture at H2O is a very maker culture, which is driven by our desire to get things done. More importantly, our desire to get things done is driven by a deep passion and customer empathy. And that is more than just customer satisfaction or customer in the traditional sense of the term. Because, in our opinion, true transformation happens when we are able to use AI to be able to improve the experience of people as employees, but also go well beyond that as members of the community, as family members. So you will find that culture, that what we talk about and how we leverage our work in democratizing AI and AI for good is completely what you see internally in the maker culture. The other thing is our community, which we are very proud of, JP. The We have the world's largest data science community. Everybody who does anything with data science, AI, ML knows who H2O is. But here's the interesting thing: various objective surveys of data science that have been done by prominent organizations, and happy to send you a link in support of this, have clearly found that employers pay a premium for H2O specialized expertise. If you take a look at the various things here, and I'm not just going to call these out specifically, but there are various names over here, including TensorFlow or Mathematica, Scikit-learn, PyTorch. H2O is number one on the list by far. So folks who know H2O, according to objective surveys, global surveys that have been done, find out that knowing H2O is monetarily good for you, career-wise good for you, and employers respect you more. That's not us saying. So if you want to democratize AI in the enterprise, you want to work with the top talent, the Kaggle grandmasters, the largest concentration of who work at H2O. If you want to be given a very objective look at how H2O can help your career and help how you earn, look no further. And we would love to talk to you and as a part of our community and part of our teams potentially, and more importantly, as our users. And we would love to work with you.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because in a field where there are lots of job opportunities for data scientists and data engineers, to learn that there's an opportunity to increase your value to future employees by getting equipped with a new set of skill set or technology is something that everyone can benefit from, and the evidence is there, which leads nicely then into my next question, which is all about what's next for H2O. You and I spoke last week about the exciting growth ahead. So can you give us some insight into what the next year to 2 years look like for H2O as a business? With that, what opportunities are there going to be for people to join you and go on that journey?
JP, I would like to focus specifically again on the health and life sciences arena, where I do a lot of my work at H2O. Most of my work is on the product side of the house and on the customer side of the house. It's primarily on what this means for our customers, what it means for them as stakeholders, for their sponsors, for their users. But most importantly, what does it mean for patients? What does it mean for physicians? We are past an inflection point. The experience I have working with the world's leading healthcare organizations, provider organizations, health systems, academic medical centers, with pharma companies, with biopharma, with health insurance companies in the United States, is that people are hungry to put their data to work. And the next 1 to 2 years is going to be a very exciting time, not just on the data science side of the house, which is a given H2O's contributions and leadership in the space, but in also applying them to very real clinical problems, operational problems, patient experience problems, and being able to come quickly up with solutions. I can't talk more than that, but I can just say that we are working with several of the leading organizations in each of the space, and there'll be a lot more about it coming up shortly, where some of these efforts with these organizations are already bearing fruit in wonderful ways across episodic data, across clinical data, COVID and long COVID data, and also in a space that I'm personally very excited about, the use of document AI across various contexts, ranging from the manufacturing floor in pharma to patient referrals and cancer referrals at UCSF, University of California, San Francisco, CDHI, all the way extending into a lot of use cases on revenue cycle and supply chain with global clients.
Prashant, final question from me then. Given your experience in the AI space and overseeing so many different industries and your work as an author, what are you most excited about for the next few years working in AI, and what are the things you're looking forward to seeing the most?
I think we are here at a point where AI is already well past being the hype. It's no longer a buzzword. We are finding that the new digital divide, the haves and the have-nots, the difference is not going to be geographical anymore, as it was many decades ago. It wasn't regional or continental. It's not even going to be based on funding. It's really going to be who can put data to work, with AI being the most obvious way to do it rather than just BI, and who not. So I think choosing the right platform and choosing the right teaming and being able to build these multiple successes to drive value and drive cultural transformation is going to be important. So where does the innovation in AI ML itself come in? Being able to look at unstructured data, image data, document data, video data, audio data, and being able to use H2O products such as the H2O document AI or H2O's hydrogen torch as a part of the H2O AI Cloud services are going to be very relevant, because we haven't really gone after this 80% of data, strictly speaking, and we are finding new value for the data. The second thing is being able to focus on accuracy. A lot of the conversations are, is it accurate enough right now? But as AI becomes more embedded into workflow and becomes more embedded into shared decision making, accuracy becomes much more relevant, because now it's not about a proof of concept anymore. Accuracy drives trust. So your model should be as accurate as possible so that you can drive the highest level of human trust, not just from data scientists, but also business and operations users. The third piece, and I'm hearing so much of this, not just from the commercial world, but also from leaders in the United States White House and Congress and others with whom I consult frequently in both my role at H2O and as somebody who does a lot of work in the space, is a focus on explainability, being able to look at interpretability and explainability, and to be able to address not just people's concerns, but proactively address people's needs before they become concerns.
Prashant, thank you so much for today. Really appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Obviously, H2O are a leading name in AI and impacting all industries, and it's great to hear how you guys have such a specific focus on open AI, open source AI, and all the benefits that come along with that. And yeah, look, anyone who works in AI should be familiar with H2O. If for no other reason, it's going to help you get paid more. And that's always a good thing. And we're very excited to see what you and the team at H2O can accomplish in the years ahead. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you, JP. It's delighted. And what a fantastic conversation. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.